Welcome to Hip Hop Movie Club, the show that harmonizes the rhythm of hip hop with the magic of movies. Today we're discussing Underdoggs, the newly released comedy starring the one and only Snoop Dogg. We are three old heads who put the old heads together to vibe on these films for you. I'm Dino Wright, podcaster, filmmaker, longtime hip hop fan, and Charles Stone III, the director of this film, changed my life. He directed the video I Left My Wallet in El Segundo, A Tribe Called Quest, which cemented me as a hip hop fan for life.
I'm JB, 80s and 90s nostalgia junkie, longtime hip-hop fan, and my favorite hip-hop collective is the Native Tongues, which included a crew that has the same nickname as I do, the JBs.
I'm Boogie, a DJ, longtime hip-hop fan, and I stand with Jaycen in his acceptance speech for the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award at the Grammys. He said what he said.
Right on.
In this episode, we'll answer the question, is Underdoggs an instant classic sports underdog film? And we'll give you 5 key takeaways to make you a smarter hip-hop movie fan.
Underdoggs, with 2 G's, is the story of Jaycen, 2 J's, Jennings, a former NFL superstar wide receiver who is sentenced to community service and decides to coach a rough-and-tumble ragtag youth football team as a means to help regain his popularity and post-playing career opportunities. All right, let's dig in here. First of our 5 key takeaways is Snoop Dogg is still likable and funny, even while playing a conceited, self-centered, arrogant former athlete. Let me kick it to you, Dinah Wright. What are your thoughts around that topic?
Sure. So football was the case that they gave him. He had run into some problems in a courtroom, and he was sentenced to community service, and he decides to fulfill the debt to society. He was going to coach a youth football team, and he was fun to watch, even if he was a real self-centered jerk.
Yeah, I agree. The fact that he could pull it off, being a self-centered jerk, a former athlete with no other really redeeming qualities except that he's Snoop Dogg in real life. I was still laughing at him. He was quick-witted. He always had a quick quip. He snapped back at anybody that would, try to degrade him, even the kids, other colleagues, former colleagues. Snoop did a great job. He had a lot of dialogue, and it all went really smoothly, just as everything that Snoop touches goes smoothly, pretty much. Boogie, what are your thoughts on Snoop Dogg being likable and funny, even in this role?
Nah, he was funny. He was like somebody's crazy uncle.
Yeah.
That just woke up one morning and said, "You know what? I'm going to coach a football team," and had no clue of what it took to be a coach. I mean, his whole experience with football was from the player side, and he decided to just go on down there and give it a shot because he wanted to improve his image. But the way he was showing up it had me cracking up because he's showing up and he's got these like head to toe Fendi suits on, his metallic gold G-Wagon Mercedes Benz with the sun. Like when he first pulled up, the kids couldn't even see the light was hitting them in the eyes. Like, what the heck is going on? Like,
Yeah, I drove it on this field.
and the conversation. I mean, even with the language though, some of the conversations between him and the kids had me cracking up. I mean, I'll admit though, I wasn't really into it. I tried to watch it. I watched it twice. The first time I started watching it, I wasn't into it, but the second time I started watching it, and I started listening to some of what they were saying, it was pretty funny because little kids, I mean, kids at that age, they're very quick with it. So the back and forth, they were almost like snapping on each other back and forth, cracking jokes on one another. And he was just letting them have it. Like he was giving it to them. Oh, man. Classic Snoop.
Classic Snoop. I laughed at him. And of course, there had to be a scene where he was toking up with Mike Epps. That was par for the course. I had some issues, obviously, with his character, but that's who he was. He stayed true to himself the entire time. My problem with him as an individual, like not him, but Jaycen Jennings, 2 J's, was, man, he was only out for himself, and he was kind of using the kids as a means to better his lot in life. He was at rock bottom after his playing days were over, and he was irrelevant, and he was down on his luck, and he was literally using his kids to better himself. And he couldn't, and there's the part with his former high school coach, played by George Lopez, with a ripped couch and a tiny office. I'm like, man, all that money he made, and he had such an affinity for his coach, he couldn't pay to upgrade his facilities. I mean, that was off-putting a little bit to me.
Yeah, of course, the couch had duct tape on it.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, it's his money. He can do whatever he wants with it. He didn't want to pay for coach's couch. That's a coach's problem. I mean, if the coach had wanted it, I think he could have made it happen.
But I mean, you would think with his career, I don't know if it was or not, but hopefully it should have been like Jaycen Jennings Field and this complex, and they should have had state-of-the-art facilities. I know in real life, like by me, close to Bethlehem, PA, there's Liberty High School. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson played there for like a year or two. He shipped them all the latest gear. He upgraded their facilities. I mean, it seems like Jaycen Jennings, his house was so lavish. He had statues of himself, and those were crazy too, with the big booty and everything.
Exaggerated buttocks.
Yeah. I mean, behind his bed, the arms raised, wings, and like he was an angel, I think. I mean, it would just be a drop in the bucket to help out Coach.
The Air Jordan poster. That was funny. That made me laugh.
Yeah. So I took issue with it. But all right, so I think, Boogie, you alluded to this, but like another takeaway is, despite the warning at the beginning, which was kind of a joke as well, it's rated R, and it said that the children's cursing because those MFers say what they want to say, but the amount and the extent of the children's cursing was alarming to me. So let me just talk briefly to that. I'll hand it over to you, Donna, right in a minute. But as a father, it was hard for me to watch the kids just straight up cursing the adults out, like literally saying like F you. And I'm like, wow, is nothing sacred anymore? And because of that, I think it would prevent this movie from being a classic. I just like, where's the discipline? Like, you got to show these kids how to act with a little more class. Now, the vernacular, right? This is Long Beach, California, and maybe a lot of people talk that way, but if you want to mold someone to show a little bit more respect, because then they talk trash to each other, they're talking trash in a nasty way to the other team, like when they come out with that rallying call at the end, and I was put off by that. What are your thoughts, Donna? Right?
I had the opposite reaction. I thought the warning was funny. It's a rated R film, so that's what we're in for. I'm not prepared to judge how profane kids from Long Beach are. I've never been to Long Beach, which is kind of the point of the warning. Like, this is how they are. And so it doesn't match up with, our sensibility. Okay. But, whether they act this way or not, I think that was secondary to the point of the movie. And the point of the movie was you have to put forth an effort and you have to believe in yourself. And so they did that. And so they accomplished that part of the movie. The cursing was sort of secondary. And Snoop said the cursing was real. And so I'm not here to debate Snoop on whether the cursing was real or not, because that's where he lives and that's not where I live. And to do a no cursing story would, I thought, miss the point of the emotional undercurrent that's in this film, which is how they really feel. And these kids are disadvantaged, and so to be tone police with them is like not something I'm interested in. Like, they've got real problems. The way they talk is the least of their problems.
Point taken. I just think it detracts from the overall film because this is for the masses. It's out there on this was on Amazon Prime, and right or wrong is going to be judged harshly because of that. And I would hope that I was hoping that would maybe have a more lasting effect and be more of a classic going forward, like we see in some of these underdog stories. Boogie, what's your take on that with the language?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of ride the fence a little bit. I mean, like I explained earlier, like the first time I started watching it, I was like, "What in the heck?" Like I was almost turned off a
Definitely
little bit.
weird.
But then I went back and I watched it a second time, and it was kind of like, "All right, whatever." And then it kind of, I almost didn't even hear it as much. But also to the point that Dino Wright was saying, um, I used to teach in New Brunswick, and the kids were about that age, and they definitely had some mouths on them. So, I mean, it was in a sense, I guess that would be, it was very real in that aspect. But I also see JB's point about it going out to the masses. It could be off-putting for some people. Hopefully, people do give it a shot. Like I watched it the second time, and I was able to enjoy it, um, because there is a message there, and it's very clear. And I think even the end of the final football game, the result wasn't what we all hoped for in a classic underdog story. But even though their result wasn't there, the lasting effect with the team and how they were able to come together, that overall message was definitely conveyed.
Was that a spoiler alert, or should we should we not talk about the ending?
I think it's
I
fine.
meant to bring it
Um,
up.
yeah, just a little more on the language. So yeah, the language being harsh, I get it. I get it in the sense that if this is how they speak, that's how they speak. Don't sanitize things. I'm not all about that. But I think there was some clear disrespect from the children. Like, where's the respect for your elders? I swear that the one kid, I think he said "F you" to Snoop Dogg at one point, and I'm like, there was no,
He did.
yeah. I'm like, there's no repercussion for that. Like, that should not be allowed. If somebody, like, you would, I know, I would never put a hand on a child, but I would be in that kid's face, like this, and I'd be shouting like, you do not speak with me, and I would bench that kid. That kid didn't even get benched, I don't think. I mean, like, how's the kid going to learn if they continually get away with that disrespect? That's what really bothered me, is like, the language was disrespectful, and you don't treat other people, you don't use that language on other people, especially your elders. So, like, I was like, there's got to be, you got to draw a line somewhere. That's my point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, like I've seen that same exact language directed at teachers, but there was repercussions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not to say that the kids didn't do it. 'Cause they definitely, I've seen it firsthand. But yeah, I do agree that in the sense of an extracurricular activity like football, you might want to kind of put it in there, like bench them or make them run an extra lap or do some push-ups or something.
Yeah, definitely. If you're trying to mold these kids to be productive members of society and overcome some of those challenges that they're faced with, you have to show a little bit more class and respect for elders at the minimum, at the bare minimum. So that's where it bothered me more so than the language itself. So yeah, I thought that could have been handled a little bit better. All right, I think we covered that topic pretty well. I do have some other flaws with the plot we'll get to later, like in the final takeaway, but let's do something a little bit more upbeat, humorous even. Mike Epps' character. I mean, he further cements himself as a zany sidekick in these hip hop films. Dynamite, what are your thoughts around Mike Epps and his character?
He's so good. He provides comic relief, and every scene he's in is very funny. And it's also based on real life ex gangsters that were coaching in Snoop's league. So that was kind of a nice nod to them. To use Mike Epps and his comedic talent for that was a nice touch. Really funny.
Yeah, Mike Epps has been in dozens and dozens of these hip hop related or hip hop adjacent movies, and he just crushes it like every time. Um, we saw him in a couple that we had done, like You People, On the Come Up, and a few others. And he steals scenes. And this one, he was outrageous. He was just trying. He just wanted to tag along with Snoop and be the assistant coach, and like just bizarre. He would just ramble and say some incoherent things. And like when he first pulled up on Snoop, like he had a gun to his head, and he was just like, "Oh man!" And he kept forgetting that the safety wasn't on. And Snoop's like, "Are you kidding me?" You know. So it was wild, and he did provide some needed comic relief. Boogie, what are your thoughts on Mike Epps as the assistant?
Yeah. So if Snoop's character was the crazy uncle, Mike Epps was the even crazier uncle, and he just like throughout the film though, like his intentions were good. Like he definitely wanted to be supportive, but he had no idea how to do it correctly.
Yeah.
But he's like he wanted to be there. Like even something as simple as addressing the crooked referee. You know, yeah, you want to say something to him, but the way he went about it, little stuff like that, and like the scenes where he was always trying to, he would always have that gun, and it would not be on. The safety wouldn't be on. It was funny, but his antics throughout the film, made for some really funny scenes, and he's just like. There's something about him. Like he doesn't even have to say a joke. He can just start saying a regular sentence, and I'm cracking up because of the way he delivers it.
Yeah, he was hysterical. Yep. Love Mike Epps in this one. So I think you mentioned also, Donna, right? The movie's based on the true story, Snoop's real life youth football league. So Snoop's done a lot in his community of Long Beach, California, to help underprivileged kids and create a youth football program. And thousands upon thousands of kids have come through. Some have played in the NFL. There was a little footnote epilogue at the end that talked about that. That was a nice touch.
Yeah. According to the film, 85,000 kids played in this program. I think the website says another number, but still, that many kids coming through. 20,000 of them went to college, which is great, and even some NFL players that people have heard of. So, pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw an article just last week where C.J. Stroud mentions that his former football coach Snoop Dogg has been a blessing in his life. And C.J. Stroud, for those who don't know, he's the Houston Texas quarterback, but he played in the Snoop Youth Football League while he was living in Rancho Cucamonga, California, while he was in middle school. And even to this day, Snoop also has fond memories of him as well, and referred to him as being so laser focused. He refers to him as being spiritual and positive, and just carrying that with him throughout the league. And they had nothing but kind words to say for one another. Something like it's like wow.
Yeah, at the time of this recording, C.J. Stroud is the likely winner of the Offensive Rookie of the Year. He had an amazing season, led Houston into the playoffs. In his rookie season, he put up like almost close to 5,000 passing yards, which is unheard of. He broke some rookie records. So, yeah, he was a joy to watch. That's just one example.
Yeah, right. That's just one, right?
One example. Yeah, there's been many, many more. So kudos to Snoop and what he did in real life to help out underprivileged kids. And final take. LBC. I was thinking of
the NFL.
Now you got me thinking of the opening lines of Gin and Juice.
Yeah.
Final takeaway, and again, this is I wrote this, but I'm going to support it too. The plot and the film are littered with some flaws and unnecessary roughness, to use a football term. For me, it's almost like a non sequitur in that it's a kid's story, the underdogs, but they're like ruling the roost. I don't see where the discipline is. I don't see the kids really reforming themselves, and I don't see Snoop reforming himself. Snoop was like a jerk the whole time in terms of his self-centeredness, his being an egomaniac. Lessons learned, but like the kids coming out and rallying when they're down in the half, and using like expletives to kind of rally together and almost taunt the other team. I didn't like that. Yes, there's a lesson to be learned, but that was a big flaw to me. Again, Snoop not giving back to his old coach. And the only reason he's doing the community service and helping these kids is a means to an end to help himself. And when he got that role at Fox, big dilemma, and he made the decision. He made it a tough decision. I won't give it away, but that was his end goal, was to get a contract on national TV, and so that was it. And then it's like, what happened to the kids? So yeah, had some issues with that. Dinah Wright, what are your thoughts about any of the flaws or unnecessary roughness, so to speak?
I'm picking up the flag. It's a sports movie. And so a lot of sports movies follow formula, not unlike rom-coms. And so this one ends in a championship game, of course. And they have this moral dilemma that Snoop has to decide whether to go to Fox or coach the game, the championship game for the kids. And so, we've seen this in other films, and you can imagine what happens. But without talking about the result of the game actually works in favor of the messages of the film. I thought, to me, one of the messages, you have to put forth a sincere effort and let the results take care of themselves. In short, trust the process. The second was to find strength in your family and from where you came. And so, yes, I don't think 2J's, he finds about 80% redemption, but he does find strength in from where he came from. And so, that part was accomplished. And finding strength in his in Mike Epps' character I'm in for that. But yeah, is it a perfect film? No, of course not. Is it a classic underdog sports movie? I don't know if it's a classic, but it definitely follows the underdog formula.
Roogie, what are your thoughts about the flaws in the plot and the film overall?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that there was some plot holes there. But you know me, I'm always there for the cameos. So the cameos, let's talk about them. Yeah, Tony Gonzalez, Deion Sanders, Terry Bradshaw, Kurt Menefee, Michael Strahan, Howie Long, Jake Glazer. I mean, all big names in football and the commentary and Fox football commentaries and Fox NFL Sunday commentators. So it was cool to see them because it always adds a tad bit of, authenticity to the film. So anytime I see that kind of thing happen, I always get a little bit excited. I like spotting people saying who's who in the movie. But yeah, there was some definite plot holes in it, and but I mean, it's not a perfectly made movie. I think that the overall message was achieved somewhat. Will I watch it again? Absolutely. It took a little bit to get for me to catch on to it, but I enjoyed it when it was all said and done.
Yeah, I just thought that they left a little bit on the field in terms of to use that in terms of like Snoop having a little bit more of an impact to reform the children. They learned, but I think you're kind of stretching a little bit like what they really learned. I mean, the one child was a personal connection where he kept asking to be dropped off in front of the sneaker store. He's like, I'm going to buy some kicks or check it out. And it was all about him just being embarrassed of where he lived. Snoop did go to the extent of figuring it out that he was embarrassed and said, hey, I lived in trailer park, such and such number. But like, I wish he would even take it a step further. Like, why doesn't he help him confront his fear and like maybe get out of the car and walk him to his home and maybe meet his parent or caregiver and say, hey, listen, I know what you're going through, and maybe I can help you out somehow, or maybe use his influence or something. Like someone that's a former athlete, that that can still maintain a house like that has a lot more resources, and I just don't think that they were applied. Yeah, as much as they could.
Know. I don't want to tell someone how to spend their money though. Like, oh, you have to. It's not coming from a place of, a sincere place in 2J's heart. So it's not gonna. It wasn't gonna happen, and it wouldn't have worked. So I mean, there was something there. I think he, knowing what this kid was going through and figuring out that he didn't really have a new pair of kicks every time. I think the best he could have done was relate to him, like, hey, I used to live in the trailer park too, and I was able to get out. And I think to make him do more, I think that'd be a little ham-handed to me.
Well, he did back new kicks though.
He did get him new kicks, so yeah.
Yeah, the new kicks. Yeah, I don't know. I wanted a better moral compass inside of 2J's and just wasn't there. But again, that was his character. I don't know. It's not a Disney movie, so you're not going to have these wholesome qualities that I might be looking for.
A few miles north of Long Beach.
That's a good one. So also, I guess we differ on that, and that's fine. I mean, I did want to mention. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a couple other performances in this film. Tika Sumpter was stunning as Snoop's love interest. Yes. Cal Penn was in it playing his agent, and he was funny as usual.
That's funny.
Yeah.
We mentioned George Lopez as the high school coach, and Andrew Scholes, who I didn't really know that well. He played a good villain in terms of the opposing coach. He had his team in like a militaristic drill sergeant type, fashion. He was like the Bill Belichick, I guess, of youth league. Bill Belichick style.
Yeah.
I think they were like colonels. The colonels. They looked like the Patriots uniforms.
They really did. They really were.
I think they intentionally probably modeled them after that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yep. They definitely did.
Yep. I see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you want to talk about any of those co-stars, you can go ahead.
There's really good supporting cast, and some of the subtle humor worked better for me than some of the more obvious joke lines in this movie. And so there's one scene where 2J calls his agent Harold Kumar looking person, and so
yes, I caught that.
Great subtle reference to Cal Penn's breakout role, Kumar. Very fun. Charles Stone III is good for that. He knows his stuff.
Yeah. No, I think it was good. I think all of the characters that were showcased, they added to the movie. Like one part that caught me off guard was Judge Tara. I was like, huh. I looked at her face and I'm like, wait a minute, I know who that is. It's Candy Burris from Platinum Southern Group Escape. Mm-hmm. And also solo artist, and she plays on those hip hop shows. I can't remember which one.
Is she a Real Housewife?
Here she goes.
Isn't she a Real Housewife in Atlanta or something?
I think so. Yeah, she's on one of them. Yeah, that was okay.
Yeah, good.
I saw the funny subtle joke too is that Snoop mentions, or 2J's mentions, like, I thought I was gonna get the Martha Stewart treatment or something like that. And real life, Snoop and Martha are buddies. And Martha had the white collar crime when she was like insider trading, and she got like a slap on the wrist. He still got, I guess, preferential treatment in that he was up for jail sentence, and he's like,
"Oh yeah,
you're going to get community service." He's in there with his neck brace and everything after the accident, looking a mess. But I thought that was a funny line also. Yeah, I definitely did laugh a lot. I'm not saying it was joyless, but I outlined a lot of the issues I had. Anything else to add on the film that you guys wanted to discuss?
This is well timed for Super Bowl week.
Yeah, football film.
Well, we're recording this during Super Bowl week. So
go Niners.
Our resident Niners fan is ready to go. Put him in, coach.
I almost wore a jersey.
Ah. You got to get a Run CMC shirt. I got the Run DMC. You got to get Run CMC for Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
I got my Run the Jewel shirt in honor of Killer Mike out of Grammy this week.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Moving in the crate.
Free Killer Mike.
Yes.
Yeah. Apparently got arrested after the show. That's crazy. Awful timing.
Why did I do that to my man?
You've been down with Killer Mike for years. Yeah.
Yep. It was crazy because I heard about that. I was going to go watch the Grammy Awards with a few of my friends, and I was running about 20 minutes late, 15, 20 minutes late, and the Grammy started at 8 o'clock, and about 8:10 or 8:05, 8:10, I see the headlines popping up, like Killer Mike arrested. And I got to the Grammy party. I was like, "Yo, did y'all hear about Killer Mike?" They said, "What happened with Killer Mike?" I'm like, "He just got arrested." They're like, "He did," because the news hadn't even popped up for anybody who was watching the Grammys live. Didn't even know. It's like, wow. Yeah,
It's not right.
I saw he posted today, thanking everybody that supported him and everything. So it looks like he's out and everything's good.
That's good. All right, so let's do our rating here for the movie Underdogs, which is freshly released. I think it came out something like January 23rd or something. So we hopped right on this one on Amazon Prime.
We did.
Yeah, it's amazing. But all right, Dino Wright, let's kick it off with you first. Would you say bring this funky flick back?
Bring that funky flick back?
Or leave it in the vault?
I would bring this funky flick back. I don't know if I'd watch it again, but I thought it was good.
All right.
Not
Boogie?
great, but good.
Yeah, I'll bring this funky flick back. For now, I mean, I probably definitely will. I'm almost positive I'll watch it at least one or two more times because I'll come across somebody that has never seen it and they'll probably want to watch it, and I'll end up watching it with them. Will it hold up as a classic? Remains to be seen. But I'll bring it back for now.
All right. And for myself, I spouted too much negativity, so I will have to say leave it in the vault. I will spend the time watching Soul Plane and other
Soul Plane.
and just watching Snoop videos, which I enjoyed much more. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, man.
Soul Plane.
Yeah, stop laughing now. Oh,
All
man.
right. Hip Hop Movie Club is produced by your HHNCs, JB, Boogie, and Dino Wright. Theme music by Boogie. We got a bunch of live events in the first half of 2024 coming up. You can learn more at our website, hiphopmovieclub.com. On February 28th at Steel Stacks in Bethlehem, we are presenting a screening of Juice and a talkback. Free tickets at steelstacks.org. Whether you're listening to the podcast or watching us on YouTube, we appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in.
Remember, don't hate, liberate.
Free Killer Mike.
That's right.
I think it's already free, so yeah, stay free.
I might soon have to go through that in excess mediate video with the cue cards. Maybe we could drop that in the show notes. They had a lot.